So, Eddie, you've talked a bit about some of the physical resets that can happen through meditation or through regular exercise or nutrition or even, and this is one of my favorites, remembering how to breathe, as a way of getting oxygen to your brain.
Right.
How about, could you give an example of an emotional reset or a cognitive reset?
Well, let me give you an example of emotional reset. So, our emotional system is a wonderful sensing system in our body.
Mm-hmm.
It was, it's there for a real purpose. Obviously, take fear as an emotion, is there to, create and maintain sense, security or safety. It's needed there. Happiness and joy creates a rich release of endorphins. And endorphins can change the blood flow of your brain and can create positive benefits in all of your organs. Sadness is a combination of, an adrenaline-based, and there's some endorphins in sadness because the body has a natural way of, what our emotions do is they allow us to access our internal pharmacy. Mm. Now, what happens is that we believe that some emotions are good and some aren't. Mm-hmm. And if you don't allow yourself to feel an emotion all the way through, you basically block a mechanism in your body which is there to serve a good, both a biochemical purpose. Mm-hmm. So many of us tend to decide we won't feel an emotion of some kind. We won't feel fear.
Yes.
Well, that's not really possible because if we try and stifle an emotion, not feel it all the way through, it's going to pop out somewhere else.
Right.
So the flip side of fear is actually anger.
Yeah.
And, the flip side of, they all have flip sides of each other. So my point about emotional resets is let yourself feel the emotion all the way through. You have control of what you do or how you act on the emotion.
Right.
But don't stifle the emotion.
You're probably familiar, Eddie, with the work in nonviolent communication. Mm-hmm. And Marshall Rosenberg, and he sets out a structure to communicate more clearly and less violently. By violently, he means not causing harm as when you communicate. And part of that process is to acknowledge emotion and feeling.
Right.
And I think, there's many models about how many core feelings there are, but I tend to use one that has 5: mad, sad, glad, ashamed, and afraid.
Right. And
by owning the emotion, it stops it leaking out in other ways, in unacknowledged but disruptive ways. And I think this is part of what you're speaking to, which is don't kid yourself that you can suppress the emotion. Actually finding a way of feeling the emotion actually allows you to better self-manage yourself rather than kidding yourself by, I'm not going to feel anger or fear or sadness, and it then leaks out in different ways in terms of your behavior.
Yes, and being able to be sensitive to other people's emotions as well.
Right.
So you separate the sensation, the biochemistry of the emotion from the behavior. When you have a choice on the behavior, you really don't have a choice on the emotion.
Right.
The emotion is going to happen naturally. Now, cognitive resets are a little bit different. In its simplest frame, we often sort of say you can see every obstacle as a growth opportunity. Mm-hmm. So this is where you look at something that's an event or an occurrence, and you decide which mindset you want to bring to it.
Right.
Or you recognize that you have brought one mindset to it, and you might choose to put another mindset to it. And what we realize is that we spend a lot of time interpreting and creating stories around certain events. And many of those are not healthy stories. They lead us into the unhealthy, certain unhealthy emotions or whatever. And we have a choice as to how we look at it. Yes. And being able to recognize when you're maybe looking at something with one set of eyes and you can look at it with a different set of eyes is a powerful thing because it will change your body and then, of course, it'll change your brain.
One of the exercises, and again, it's connected to the nonviolent communication model, is helping people separate out a situation to separate out what's the data, what are the facts, and then what are the judgments. Judgments you have about the other person, judgments you have about the situation, judgments you have about yourself. And what's always stunning to people is how little data there is and how many judgments there are.
Right.
It's extraordinary that we spend our whole life weaving stories and interpretations about what's really going on.
If you picked up a copy of my best-selling book, How to Begin, Start Doing Something That Matters, well, there are additional downloads and templates and videos you can get at howtobegin.com.